before I get into this story about Netflix, just hold on. We're not saying that they're going to go to ads yet, but Netflix might make this thought. And Yahoo Entertainment actually put the story out, talking about this idea could be coming to pass, but I'm not going to put out there and say that's going to happen. BGR.com originally where they put this on, but the idea is that investors out there are starting to make the idea that maybe they need to go and keep in mind that something's going to happen where the investors for Netflix, even though the money that's being put on content right now is pushing out so much, and that there's going to be a ceiling they're going to reach once they get their subscriber base to be where they can only charge so much, because there's room for them to charge more, and they could charge for a tiered ad-based platform like Hulu or Peacock. They could do that, but I don't think they want to do that yet, but they could be forced to do it because they'll see what the other competition is doing anyway, whether a Disney Plus or a Hulu or other platforms will continue to go ahead and keep putting out content with advertising. But the real pressure is not so much from being put to Netflix to do this. It's because the advertising industry is hurting. They need to have room to put their advertisements somewhere, and they know that the Netflixes of the world are where people are watching content. And for content, advertising is only marketable or relevant if it's done in between content. So the advertisers have no place to put their advertisements. People are cutting the cord. They're not paying the subscription fees. They're going to put their subscription fees over to streaming. With that said, there's also a report I put out that I also put into the link here on the description of this program, this episode, that bundling, just internet and mobile, is becoming more common. It's now 41% of people that are actually more into getting their mobile service set for data and their internet service, where they're not including cable or satellite. Now it's an increase from 33% 3 years ago. That's what's happening now. So with that said, Netflix is under concern of saying, well, you know, Hulu and Peacock are getting their subscriber base, but with 200 million subscribers, Netflix, you know, the pressure is going to be put on them that they will they need to embrace advertisements. Analyst Michael Nathanson of MoffettNathanson Research is trying to push that out there. Now, he's doing this, obviously, as a clickbait point or to kind of pressure through the press to make Netflix take on advertisers because the ad industry wants it. He recently issued an investor note arguing Netflix might want to reconsider its position. Now, his charges are that they're experiencing slower subscriber growth. But remember, subscriber growth compared to what it was in the pandemic. All right, that's a major growth that they got as a result. Now, they already passed the hurdle by putting out $10 to $12 billion of content they're actually buying now every year, and then going forward from there. A lot of money. Well, Nathanson says that Netflix needs to come up with additional revenue streams to keep investors happy. Generating $25 billion plus in annual recurring revenues, and it's admirable. But they need to find a new profit pool or two like Disney. And he says that we don't think that consumer products or gaming will be enough to change the narrative. We think that an ad-supported tier or live sports will be the way to go, penetrate harder to reach customer segments and markets. And he says the subscriber growth can't continue to increase indefinitely. At some point, everyone who wants a Netflix subscription will have one. And they'll need to come up with some new and creative ideas in order to boost revenue. Well, they're already doing that. Modest subscription price increases. They're also working on podcasting. I talked about it on a previous episode. Plus, they're trying to do stuff on merchandise and other kind of deals with what the content that they have. Remember, they have their own content that they're buying. So they don't need to make these moves. Now, the good news is that Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, still says they're prioritizing movies and TV shows, and that every $1 billion that we have, billions of dollars earmarked for bigger movies, bigger series, animation, of course, and every content dollar is spoken for. They don't want advertisements. And Reed Hastings has said it's a judgment call. It's a belief we can build a better business, a more valuable business without advertising. Advertising looks easy until you get in it. Then you realize you have to rip that revenue away from other places because the total ad market isn't growing. And in fact, right now is shrinking. And hand-to-hand combat to get people to spend less on, ABC to spend more on Netflix, much more growth in the consumer market than there is in advertising. So this is the pressure from the people that want to put advertising in front of the Netflix audience. This story right here is specifically made for that. It's all cap. I'm going to leave it there. I'll talk to you next time.